If God knew Cain would kill Abel, then who truly sinned first? They say envy was born the day Cain's altar burned cold. But maybe envy was never about hatred. Maybe it was about hunger. The hunger to be seen. Imagine a field at dawn. Two stones stand like silent witnesses. One still dark with ash, the other kissed by fire. The air trembles with something unspoken, the weight of a gaze that has already turned away. A single ember flickers and dies, swallowed by the wind. And in that brief silence, the world holds its breath. Perhaps this isn't a story about murder at all.
But of something deeper.
Perhaps it's about the moment a man realized God could look away, and the ache that began where his eyes no longer were. The sun had barely risen when they built their altars, two brothers standing side by side, hands rough from the same soil. Abel's altar was small, a simple stone and the lamb he had raised. Cain's was taller, built with care, filled with the first fruits of the earth. Both waited for the same flame, and then it came. Fire fell upon Abel's offering, bright and alive, twisting in golden tongues that reached for heaven. But Cain's altar stayed silent. His smoke curled upward, weak and gray, fading into the morning air. For a long while, neither spoke. The sound of burning fat, the smell of scorched wool, they filled the space between them like an unspoken sentence. Cain looked toward heaven, no answer. He looked toward his brother and found God's favor shining in another man's eyes. That's when he felt it. Not anger, not yet, not something quieter, a question that had no words. Why not me?
Why did you?
The world did not answer. Only the wind moved, carrying away the smoke that never reached the sky. What burns deeper than rejection is the silence after it. Cain stayed by the altar long after the fire had died. His hands still smelled of earth, the same earth he had offered to God. He turned the stones over, searching for something left behind, a spark, a reason, but all he found was the shape of absence. He tried to remember how God's gaze had felt, the warmth of being seen, the invisible weight of approval. It wasn't love he wanted, it was recognition. Across the field, Abel laughed softly to himself, whispering prayers of gratitude. Cain watched him, not with hatred, but with wonder. How easily the heavens spoke to some men, how quickly they forgot the silence that still lingered for others. The wind rose, scattering ashes across the ground like forgotten blessings. And in that moment, Cain realized something terrible. Perhaps God had not turned away from him. Perhaps he had simply looked through him. That thought hollowed him out, carving a space too deep for comfort, too quiet for words. The wind emptiness, envy took its first breath. The morning grew heavy, as if the air itself had learned to wait. Cain wandered from the altar to the edge of the field, where the grass whispered in the wind. He did not call for Abel, not yet.
Abel.
He only listened, hoping the silence might speak first. Abel came anyway. He carried the scent of smoke and blessing, his hands still warm from the fire that had chosen him. When he saw his brother standing there, he smiled, unaware that something unseen had already shifted in the world. For a while, they spoke of nothing: the soil, the harvest, the way the sky seemed closer after rain. Their words floated like dust motes, weightless, harmless. But beneath them, the silence thickened. Cain's eyes drifted toward the horizon, where the light began to fade into gray. Something inside him followed that fading, step by step, until he could no longer tell where light ended and shadow began. He turned to Abel then, not in rage, but in wonder, the way a man might look at a star just before it falls. The wind paused, and in that stillness, something in the world exhaled, softly, almost tenderly, as if releasing a truth it had held too long. The earth shuddered once, a soundless sigh beneath their feet. No cry, no fire, only the slow collapse of light, a brightness folding in on itself, leaving the field drenched in the quiet after something sacred has been broken. When Cain finally looked down, the ground was darker than before. He did not move. He did not pray. He only whispered to the silence that had made him, "Now you see me." And for the first time, the earth drank what heaven refused. The world was quiet when Cain left. No voice thundered from the heavens. No hand reached down to stop him. Only the wind followed, carrying the faint scent of earth and something older than grief. He walked until the land forgot his name. The soil beneath his feet no longer knew him, and the stars above would not meet his gaze. Yet somewhere inside, a strange calm grew, the kind that comes after a storm too vast to understand. He did not curse God. He did not ask for forgiveness. He simply carried the silence, like a mark no water could wash away. Sometimes, when the night was clear, he would look up and wonder if God was still watching, or if the watching itself had ended long ago. And in that thought, he found neither comfort nor despair, only truth. Was I cursed, he whispered, or chosen to feel what others could not? The wind did not answer, but in its passing, something stirred, a flicker, faint as a forgotten ember. Perhaps envy was never evil. Perhaps it was the first prayer, the longing to be seen by a gaze that had already turned away. And somewhere in the darkness, that longing still burns.
And somewhere in the darkness, that longing still burns.